So I've got some new toys. And by new toys, I don't mean this. This is all very cool, but that's not mine. That doesn't belong to me. It's December currently. It's actually the last week before Christmas. And I'm here at work alone. There's nobody else here. So when given a TV studio, play with it. After tidying, of course, which is what I've been doing for the past day and a half. This place was a bit of a state, and I've spent time putting things away, cleaning things up, reorganising the storage. It's actually been quite nice and therapeutic, and that's also given me some downtime to play with cameras, learn some new things, that kind of thing. And it's been rather nice. It's been fun. One thing I had to do yesterday actually was I got a message Friday because I had a COVID scare and couldn't come into work while I was waiting for a PCR test, and one of the lights had exploded. I say exploded, the bulb blew, and I had to change the bulb out yesterday, and it was really cool. Like the bulb, I've never seen a bulb with such spectacular scorch marks. It looked really cool. And like a light bulb change in a studio light isn't that difficult. It's just a quick, easy, done. And that was something nice to do. Dead easy, and then make sure it all works afterwards. So, about these new toys I got. I picked myself up a set of the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics. And this is a wireless mic kit that means I've got a lot more freedom in my content creation suddenly. If you check the video out I made a couple months ago, which feels like I made it so much longer ago, you can see that for a large chunk of the video I'm sat at my desk holding a stick mic and talking away into it, because that was the only real thing I had to hand that worked. And it wasn't really ideal, but for that particular setup it worked and it looked okay. But now with this wireless kit, I get 2 microphones. I'm wearing both of them at the moment. One is just underneath my hoodie, which is just a unit on its own. The other one is clipped to my jeans pocket and is connected to this clip mic you can probably see on my hoodie. And so what does this mean for my content creation? Well, I can get up, I can move around. I can do things. And it gives me a lot more freedom of motion, effectively. It basically allows me to separate myself from my camera. With the stick mic, I couldn't really do that. I was tethered, or I was stuck to this mic and couldn't do anything. But now I can just get up. I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm actually walking behind the camera now, and I'm going to leave the room. I'm walking back into the office. And you could probably hear the change in acoustics because this room is echoey as sin and it's got a heater going. But that kind of highlights how much freedom this mic gives me. And in fact, I'm going to utilize this opportunity to grab something that I need to talk to you guys about regarding something else from last time's video, which is this camera. We talked a bit about tech last time, and I sort of demonstrated why I wouldn't have dared shooting that video last time with the lenses I had. And I gave kind of a half-assed description or explanation as to why I wouldn't have done it, and it didn't really land, clearly because I didn't explain it very well. So I'm going to sort of explain it, try and explain it a bit better this time. And it comes in a couple of parts. So stick with me here. This is going to get a bit techie. So one thing to bear in mind is what's actually inside of a camera. And I have here one of my workplace's Blackmagic cameras. And I'm going to take the lens off of it and show you inside. So in there, which you probably can't see, but there we go. There, right in there, is a sensor. And that's what the light hits. And that's what the camera uses to turn the light coming through the lens into a picture you can observe. So you're probably wondering, what the hell does the sensor have to do with how my camera behaved and why I needed a new lens? Well, back in the days of yore, when analog was the thing and digital wasn't really around yet, there were no sensors. It was film instead. So the basic explanation for video is it's a bunch of pictures taken really quickly and played back, like a flipbook. Take 25 pictures, you make up a second. It's the most basic bare bones understanding of video I can give you. So with film, it was 25 cells for a second, or 30 depending on your location. So when the light hit the cell of the film, it made the image, moved on really quickly to the point where we created film. Now, that changed over to sensors when digital cameras were created. But at the time, making a 35mm sensor was really impractical, so they went for smaller, but it had a trade-off. There's only one real way I can properly illustrate this, and I'm going to show you roughly on my camera what it is. So, I'm just going to zoom my lens out and we're going to roll with that. So you're probably wondering why this is a circle right now. Well, think about the shape of a lens. It's round. And the light will go through it and you get a round image. But you don't get a round image in camera because the sensor is rectangular. Going back to 35mm, you take that rectangle of film or the rectangle of the sensor and it will take its shot from that round bit of light coming in through the camera lens. So now you have a frame, 35mm frame, or full frame if we're talking digital cameras. Because there are smaller sensors, you don't get that full image. Instead, you'll get a frame that looks like this rectangle. And what it kind of looks like versus a full frame is it looks zoomed in. But you can't do anything about it. You can't zoom it out again because there's nothing beyond that frame. It can't see anything more. So that's kind of why, because of how small the sensor in my camera is, putting it on my normal lens, the 50mm prime that I usually used, it looks super close and zoomed into my face. But then using the wide angle lens, I could get a much wider view and it could sort of compensate for the small sensor. Now, there's a whole lot more information that can be probably explained a lot better than I can explain it, and I'll include a link for where I got my information down in the description. But that's sort of the general idea of crop factor and how it can impact your filming. It's one of those things that you have to learn to deal with early on, both with photography and video making. Streaming's been a lot of fun. I'm still streaming over on Twitch, and I've been playing a few games recently, and I actually sat down and thought about it, and I realized that my entire method of streaming is incredibly congested and disjointed, and I think a lot of that is in part down to my ADHD. So recently I've been playing Eastward, Resident Evil 2, Dark Souls, the Doom Marathon, Pokemon Pearl Nuzlocke, and it's a bit silly when you basically stream 3 days a week because it's too much game, not enough structure.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Maylene. This is the end.
I've decided to lock down on the games I'm playing right now. Once I clear what I'm playing now, I'm going to overhaul my schedule and make things run a bit more coherently and make it easier for viewers to just drop in and out whenever they feel like it, that kind of thing. I want people to feel like they can just come back on a regular basis and not once a week. On the subject of the streams, I also took a new foray into TikTok recently as a way to drum up new viewers, that kind of thing. And Jordan and I had a really good stream on Satisfactory one weekend. Like, I don't know what it was, but we were just completely on the ball, and we were just bantering back and forth. There were good funnies, and it worked really well. So I got a load of the clips and a load of the highlights, filtered through them, pulled out the best ones, and I then reshot everything. What I mean by reshot is I set up a Premiere project in Portrait for phones, and I then treated that canvas or project as a camera in its own right, and I used that to move around the clips that I'd already recorded. So I was able to zoom in on my webcam or bring up a picture of Jordan and zoom in on that and cut between the two to show, to make the footage a bit more dynamic and not just throw a landscape bit of video onto a portrait screen and hope for the best, that kind of thing. And I feel like I did quite a good job on it. There was a little technique I learned quite recently about punching in to cover jump cuts, and I utilised that a little bit to sort of get rid of dead air. And I can show you an example of that here from the original clip and the actual video that went up onto TikTok.
Alright, and now for a slow, demoralizing run along the hypertube so I can get my shit back.
Well, can I make a recommendation to you?
What's that?
Go through the hypertube and then walk from the other end, because it will be much quicker.
I'm already halfway there.
But are you living on a prayer?
No.
Then take my hand, we'll make it, I swear.
You're gonna kill him. Alright, and now for a slow, demoralizing run along the hypertube so I can get my shit back.
Well, can I make a recommendation to you? Go through the hypertube and then walk from the other end, because it will be much quicker.
I'm already halfway there.
But are you living on a prayer?
No.
Then take my hand, we'll make it, I swear.
You're gonna kill him.
Editing the project was really, really fun. I genuinely had a great time, and it was only my second TikTok, and in under 24 hours it almost cracked 1,200 views, which is insane for for a content creator of my size. It's just not an easy thing to do, really, and TikTok just seems to be the right place for that kind of thing. If I can just refine my technique a bit and develop it, and then hopefully it will get better and people will enjoy it more. So we're coming up to the end now of both the video and the year. 2021's sort of been a bit of a mixed bag, really, but I've had a lot of fun, like with video making, all of that stuff. I do want to do more of it. It's just the fine balancing act I've had with work, the side projects and streaming and everything. There's not enough time, but I'm hoping to get back to making more of these, and with my New Year's plan, which is I'm scrapping New Year's resolutions and I'm giving myself something to learn instead. I'm giving myself 4 things to learn in the new year. And I'm hoping as I learn these things, I can make videos about them and talk about them. And hopefully I'll be able to properly explain what I've learned, because if I can explain what I've learned that you guys understand, then that means I understand it properly, which would be great, especially for some of the things I want to do, like lighting, that kind of thing. So that's my plan for the new year. Also streaming and playing games and generally having fun, but I'm sort of being a bit more constructive with my time. At least I hope I'm being constructive with my time. Productive, I think would be the better word. More productive with my time. We're here for the engagement section again. Like